interesting question. Like, what is the difference between machine learning and artificial intelligence?
Well, the difference between machine learning and artificial intelligence, so first of all, to sort of talk a little bit about what artificial intelligence is. So artificial intelligence is a discipline where it's trying to use digital technologies to simulate the way that humans think. It's been around for a long time, been around since the dawn of computer science. Machine learning is a technique within artificial intelligence. And it's really the reason at the moment why the two get sort of mixed up is that artificial intelligence has got, the machine learning has got to the spot where it's actually accelerated what we can do with AI. And that's the really big thing. And that's because of a few reasons. Machine learning basically takes in a whole lot of data and then finds patterns in it. So I have this metaphor of you give the machine learning system a series of pictures of cups, 1 cup, 2 cups, 3 cups, 100 cups, and then it slowly starts to see the patterns of what a cup looks like. So that when you show it another cup, you can sit there and go, that's probably the cup. Mm-hmm. The reason why now it's all become really possible is that involves lots of data and lots of computational speed. And we're now at that sort of tipping point where both of those things are commonplace and consumable. So that's almost the reason why machine learning has got to the spot where it's actually starting to mature and be really usable as a technique within artificial intelligence.
Great. So how does that apply? How does machine learning and or artificial intelligence apply to data in learning and development?
That's a big question. So the interesting thing with data in L&D, first of all, we're not very data driven, basically.
Yeah.
In the area, I think we all come into the area because we're people driven. We're not primarily data analysts. So thinking about data is always a secondary thing. So that's one bit to start with. So essentially, we do need to become more data driven in L&D as our first step and our first move forward. It's a very big question about AI in L&D in terms of how it can apply. Basically, especially in terms of machine learning, there's probably 2 really big things it can do. One is help find patterns within your learning data. 2, be able to sit there and go, here you've got a cohort of people who might be successful. They're doing well in the workplace. They've done really great in the learning experience. And then being able to compare those people to everyone else to see who's struggling. So we've got a client who essentially takes people through an onboarding process of, I think, about 20 modules before they're allowed to hit the ground running. They work in a fairly high risk, high care, challenging environment. I won't open some of the modules, they're so scary. So essentially they're trying to give people a sense of what the job's really about before they hit the ground. And it would be really valuable for them to be able to predict and know who is going to be successful earlier. So that then helps to inform recruitment as well, maybe helps to change the resources as well.
So that's an interesting question, because usually LMS is only holding learning data. It doesn't actually hold KPI business results data, does it? So that's really interesting. And is that what you're going to talk about at eLearns? Is that actually what are the tools that would allow you to do exactly what you've just stated?
Yeah, so it's partly I'm going to be talking about the tools to become more data driven. But what's so really interesting about what I actually talked about then is it's actually all about learning data that's coming from a LMS. So essentially you can almost say if someone keeps on continuing past the induction and onboarding, they've been successful. So that's all data that can come from a learning environment.
Yes.
The really interesting thing when you start to sit there and go, okay, at the beginning of the learning experience design process, to sit there and go, so what data relates to this learning experience? What's the business metrics? What's the KPIs? How do those exist in the organisation? And then sit there and do a whole, okay, so if that's what we're affecting, how are we going to affect those? And then actually technically, how are we going to bring those in so we can do the correlation between what's happening within the learning experience and the end result as well. So that sort of shifts some of the learning design process as well, becoming a whole lot more data driven.
That's right. Yeah, excellent. So so you'll obviously be talking at Web Summit, which will be awesome. What are sort of 1 or 2 steps that someone watching this video could do to start to understand how they could become more data driven in learning and development?
I think there's really 2 things to become more data driven in L&D. One, as you're starting to move forward to design learning experiences, thinking about what data in the business you're affecting, and then also what data you're collecting within the learning experience. 2, I will actually, and quite often when I talk about these things, I have a story of how a data-driven L&D person works. And essentially their day starts by looking at the data, looking at the dashboards, thinking about, well, what's different from yesterday, what's different from last week, starting to look at the patterns, and actually really sort of almost your dashboards and your reporting being as important as your email inbox, I suppose, what the message is.
So it's interesting, as you said at the beginning, because most people have gone into learning and development because they want to help people, or they're creatives and they want to design things. So for the majority of L&D people, when you say data and the first thing you're going to do in your day is look at data, it might turn some of their blood cold. So it's going to be interesting from a team composition point of view that managers actually now need to start looking at the composition of their teams to make sure they've got the right people who can do that and who are interested in doing that.
Yeah, and I mean, in terms of the team composition for L&D, we are actually starting to see some of the organisations that we're working with, they do call data-driven, have analysts in their teams.
Yeah,
Not maybe primarily a learning team. There might be more of a wider, say, safety or team, and they do have data people in those teams to help people look at data, think about data. So it's essentially one of those things that it does take a different set of expertise to where a lot of L&D people have come from.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Oh, well, I'm very much looking forward to seeing you at the Web Summit and hearing what you've got to say.
Okay, cool. All right, that should be fantastic.
Lovely. See you then.
See you then.
Bye.